So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use StatCrunch to create frequency distributions and graphs. And we're going to do part of one of the homework problems. I'm not going to do the whole homework problem because I want you to have a chance to do it, but just to start with a data set. So we have a survey that was conducted in participants who were asked to disclose their favorite night for a particular activity. And the results are going to be in this table. So we're talking about days of the week, which means we're talking about categorical data. To open StatCrunch, I can click on the icon here and notice it gives me three options. I'm going to just open this in StatCrunch. Okay. At this point, sometimes it will ask you to log into StatCrunch. Your login will be the same thing as your MyMathLab login or your MyStatLab login. Sometimes it will automatically log you in, just depends. Earlier, I had to log in separately to StatCrunch for some reason. So it does give default category names across the top. We could rename this if we want to just by clicking on it. Since they're using day for the categories, I'm just going to recall that day. So notice the data is not in any specific order. It's kind of randomly in this order, probably the same way you would get it if you were to ask people about activity during the week. And we don't necessarily have to put this in order because StatCrunch can just tell us how many of each we have. So if we go to Stat, Tables, and then Frequency, it's going to ask you what column the data's in. It's in my day column, so I'm going to click on that. And then down here under statistics, it's going to ask you really what do you want to do? We want to do frequencies and relative frequencies because that next problem is going to ask us relative frequencies. If we wanted cumulative or cumulative relative frequencies, we could choose those and it would compute those. I'm going to do frequency and relative frequency. So to click on both of those, I click on frequency, hold the shift key down, and then click on relative frequency. And then I'm going to compute. So it's giving me my frequency and relative frequency here. So let's talk about what that means. If you remember from the video, the frequency is how many times something happens. So what this is saying is that there are 4 Sundays in that list. There's 1 Monday in that list, 4 Tuesdays in that list, and so on. And notice at the top, it's giving you a count. That count is a total number. So we have a total of 40 data points in the set. So we could type in those frequencies here. And I'll do that just so we can get to the next question. We've got our data set, so I'm going to close it out. So the next question is asking for relative frequency. Remember, the relative frequency is the frequency divided by the total. So the way they got this 0.1 was taking 4 and divide by 40. 4 divided by 40 is going to be 0.1. And then 1 divided by 40 would be 0.025 and so on. So we could type those relative frequencies in here. So just for fun, I'm going to take the same data set and I'm going to show you how we could create a bar graph with that data set. Since it's categorical data, we could create a bar graph. So we're going to go to graph and notice there's different types of graphs in here. We could do pie charts, we can do histograms, stem and leaf plots, box plots, dot plots, and so on. And we'll talk about more of these later through the course. So let's do a bar plot, and we're going to do it with data. So our data is in that day category, and I'm going to hit compute. So this is showing us the frequencies. here in a graphical display. And then when I close it, notice it goes over here. We could always get those back. If I wanted to display this in a pie chart, I could choose the pie chart option under graph with data. Everything's in data 1, or excuse me, in day column. Hit compute. Okay, so notice here under display, I could do the count or the percentage. We usually see percentages of the total, which is the same thing as the relative frequency, right? In terms of pie charts. So I'm going to choose that one. So there's the pie chart. So 10% of our data points were Sunday, 2.5% was Monday, and so on, which is really these values multiplied by 100 to turn that decimal into a percentage. You can see graphically that Friday is a huge chunk of that pie, which makes sense because it's 42.5%. So that is how we use StatCrunch to create graphs. Now, if this were numeric data, we could use StatCrunch to create a histogram. Histograms usually reserved for numeric data. And we could do box plots and dot plots and so on.